Hey, hey, Omar here, Chicago Cycling Network. And my God, this guy needs no introduction. Okay. You see him and you're like, how did I get him to come on the show? He didn't want to come on the show, but then, some of you guys will know he don't live in town anymore. So he's in and out. And he's only like maybe like once or twice a year, maybe more than that. But I saw him yesterday in Highland Park, just randomly. And we rode together and I'm like, hey, want to come on the show? He's like, of course, want to come on the show. And just like that, it's all about timing, right?
Yeah.
And here we are.
Hey.
Man, it's perfect timing. It's all about when you put the work in and things just fall into place. And here we are sitting now with a true Chicago legend, OG. He knows everybody, all the shops. Call a name and he knows them. But we're going to get into all this stuff and learn about him. We might even get to learn what is his favorite ice cream flavor. You never know. We might even learn about what's his favorite strip club. I'm kidding. But again, guys, it's all about just having fun and learning about the amazing people in Chicago that make the network work and why Chicago is a beautiful, beautiful place, because you have guys who have set the standard for us. And I'm sure he's one of them. I met him at Wednesday night ride in the parking lot and I was just amazed and just see how friendly he was. I remember meeting him for the first time with like Brian Guac, and I think Ramirez was another guy that I met. I've seen him a long time. Yeah. But man, true powerhouse in the city. Guys, thank you guys for subscribing, supporting the channel, supporting the movement. Many, many more amazing people to come. And we're going to learn about them, about what just makes Chicago so beautiful. All right. So with no further yapping, introduce yourself and let's get the ball rolling.
Hey, my name's Sabin West, and I'm born and raised in Lincoln Park here in Chicago. Been cycling pretty much since I was 19 and building bikes. Didn't get into racing until a bit later, until I was about 30. So actually my first race was in a master's race over at the Tour of Elk Grove, actually, which isn't around anymore, but really fun course. And yeah, I pretty much got into cycling because I loved the technology. Carbon fiber was a new thing when I kind of started. So I was really into the materials and the lightweight nature of the bicycle and, the wow factor. People would pick up a bicycle and say, holy smokes, it's light. It's that light and it can support your size. And yeah, so, here I am still doing it at the age of 50. I've pretty much only gotten better with time, but I attribute that mainly to riding with really talented cyclists and kind of staying in the scene, and really just having an appreciation for the sport. So yeah.
That's great. So you said but since you're in 30s, so what was the delay? Like you just were just more just building bikes?
There wasn't the guy. I'm an old skateboarder, so I initially
Brian Guac is your buddy?
Yeah, exactly. So Quack knew me when I was a kid, and we all skateboarded at a local school that I went to called Oscar Mayer, which is in Lincoln Park. But I started using a bicycle to get around the city because, as we all know, Chicago, it's really easy to get around without having to need a car. But I got tired of taking the train to go all the way over there. So I built up I think the first bike was a Specialized Hard Rock. And then I got the bug and was like, ooh, Cannondales are really light and they're cool. And I'm a Cycle Smithy baby. Cycle Smithy was my go-to bike shop. Mark Mattei, the owner for 40 plus years. They recently kind of closed their doors as he was coming to that retirement age. But he actually happened to live across the street from my best friend. So we would always see him and he was always unloading bikes, and we started going to his shop and really shopped there exclusively for years, until other shops came around. But it was cool to do that, only we didn't really mountain bike. So we kind of got out of the mountain bike scene, and I built my first road bike, which was more of a time trial bike. It was a Zip, when Zip, the wheel company, made frames, and Mark was kind enough to give me a good deal on a Zip bike. And that's when I kind of fell in love with road cycling. I would do all of the AIDS rides, the initial AIDS rides that went from Minnesota to Chicago. It was a 5-day series. You do about 100 miles a day.
Wow. Is that still around?
It is, but under a different name. Palada Teamworks was the company that initially hosted those, and it was about 2,400 riders. Full caravan. Showers in the trailers, like everything was really well supported. But I met a lot of triathletes actually who said, you've really got a knack for riding a road bike fast. And I would just do it to raise money for people that were living with HIV and AIDS. And it was a fun time for me to kind of, it was my way of having summer vacation or, summer camp was to do these rides every summer. And later that transitioned into racing only because I didn't really know the scene. I didn't really have a network of friends directly. They were all still either skateboarding or kind of moved on from sports or, that sort of thing. But as funny as it is, Pete Kamar, Brian Kwok, all those guys went from skateboarding to then cycling and started doing more group rides. So I think the first set of group rides I did was with the Spider Monkeys.
And they're still around. Yeah.
They are still around. So, Dean, who was he's one of the founders, I believe, of it. I showed up to a group ride. They asked if I had ridden in a group before. I had the AIDS ride experience, and I said, sure, and that's where I met my good friend, PJ Cavoto, who I still race with to this day. We're actually tied for the series.
See, you guys have some picture on Facebook. You guys suffering together.
We race a lot together because we're the same age. PJ,
he's 606.
He's 606. We were on CIMET at the same time. So in 2018, we really did really well with the CIMET team in the Masters squad. But PJ he's one of those guys that every time I've been kind of doing road cycling, he's always been right there.
I think he's stalking you.
Or we're stalking each other. It's it's a funny thing because right now we're racing. He kind of encouraged me to do this Illinois Cup series, and now we're tied for it with one race to go. So it's kind of like we're best friends on the bike, but we're also kind of technically rivals, I guess, in the series. But
when is the next race?
That'll be Edwardsville or August 16th, I believe, is that final one. So. We'll see how it pans out, but, not to jinx myself. I hope to do well. It's a first for me to kind of do a full series and have the fitness to carry it through, and not burn out, by the end of the summer. But no, just, guys like that. And, we were talking about Nick Ramirez, he's over in Edwardsville, which is close to where I'm at in St. Louis now. We ride together on occasion.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. A lot of inspirational athletes.
Yeah, I met him a few times, but I never get to interact with him. Like literally, I met him at Wednesday night ride when I wasn't riding, when I was showing up with rum, with the Jamaican rum. And then I didn't show up, and then finally when I went on the ride, he was no longer there. And then literally afterwards, I think he got his bike stolen or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
You remember?
He did actually. Yeah.
And then I haven't seen him since then.
Yeah. He's still racing. He's got a big family now. He keeps building his family. I think he's up to four.
I'm still meeting
in the family now. Yeah. But he's a Cat 1 guy that has really done well, and he's always kind of been an inspiration for me as far as I'd like to reach that level at some point. Even though
I think you're
at the Masters level.
you're there.
But it's always good to ride with all these people that have history and experience and kind of know the scene. And he kind of helped me to get to know the people down in St. Louis as well, which is really,
and he's coaching now too, right?
He does some coaching. Yeah. He's running, his own company now, Ramirez Builders, which does, home renovations and repairs and things of that effect. So it takes up a bit more of his time and his fitness, of course, as a result, plus the big family. But he's still strong as ever.
Man, I remember
about a guy who shows up to a group ride with a cross bike and still
stays up,
demolishes everybody with a one bike. So
Yeah, I remember a couple years ago. I think it was Intelligentsia at the time, TR Grits now, and I think he just came off the front and did a solo effort, and he was like, "Woo!" And then like the next lap, he got caught.
Yeah.
That was the Chicago mode. I'm like, this guy is funny because he doesn't get caught, but he just went out like hard.
Yeah. And I mean, those rides they do on the Wednesday night ride that they do down there in Edwardsville it's pretty intense. It's almost 50 miles, and there's a lot more elevation down there than there is here. and he's still always there at the end, looking fresh, you know.
Wow.
So
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing.
So,
So yeah, so let's just go back to, you say since you're like in your 30s, you've been building bikes and work. Where were you working at that time?
at that time, I have a web development background, so I was pretty much building websites for ad agency I did that for about 20 years. But through that, I would always go to swap meets. Wisconsin used to have a really awesome swap meet, and I kind of tooled around online and found a composites company that was willing to work with me. They were supplying stuff primarily for FSA at the time. And I was able to, through the ad agency, get my own slew of parts rebranded. And that's where the whole Carbon Lord thing comes into play. So around the late 90s through, I think I stopped doing it in 2014, I was having carbon cranks, handlebars, seat post stems, everything branded under my own identity. I was selling it on my own e-commerce website. And I did quite well with it until other companies kind of caught up and started, manufacturing their own thing with a more predominant label. But it was a good time. It was a good opportunity for me to make it the way I wanted and, spec all my bikes out with it. And pretty much, that's what initially got me into kind of the retail component of it. But my first real bike manager at a shop job was with the Cozy family. So, I worked, Paul and Ron Cozy, the owners of their, brought me into their River North location, 219 Erie, and I worked there for a number of years. But then had a kid and had to kind of move around and get back to things. So always did freelance web work on the side, to keep that kind of going. And then I was a licensed real estate broker for Jameson Sotheby's for a little while and kind of did that as well.
Wow, you're doing a lot of things.
I was kind of juggling it all. At the end of the day, I was more of a stay-at-home dad, raising the kid. But my wife being from Europe wanted to get back closer to her family there. And that's when we had moved to Amsterdam. So I was out there kind of just, doing my own thing, still getting parts rebranded and kind of selling and doing web work and, doing what I needed to do. But, life takes its turns and twists. And I ended up back here in the States. And I have a kid who, is 10 years old and speaks 3 languages and lives in Europe,
That's pretty awesome.
But it was Amsterdam, and I was very fortunate to be able to jump in some races in Holland and, the scene out there.
So you've done some races in Holland?
I have. I've done a couple of races there, and the scene's a little different. The races are €3 to jump in, but they have dedicated. It's like $3 to jump in.
What's the catch money? Is it a catch money or just?
It's they don't really do categories, so it's just they have sport class and elite class, and you just kind of jump in, and it's more circuit style races, more kind of road race than criterium per se, but. At least there, they have a dedicated park, where
like Woods or something
races.
like that.
Right, exactly. But it's made just for, doing bicycle racing. They got a clubhouse, they're streaming Eurosport, there's a cafe, you can go take a shower when you're done. And that team was really great. I was fortunate to link up with a crew called Attack, which was for the Amsterdam Triathlon and Cycling Club, ATAC. And it was an expat team. So people from all over. I had friends from South Africa, Hong Kong, Ireland, and I pretty much trained and rolled with them. And they were, everybody had real jobs. One guy worked for Philips and another guy, worked for another company. But, everybody shared the passion for cycling. And we would all just jump in on the weekly races and kind of better ourselves, just get better at it. And I think after that experience, I came back to the States. Did some of the Gapers Block, Skyway now is what they call it, and just tore everybody up, winning races by 45 seconds. And well, so windy there, and, just as flat as Chicago, but, and we even got funny comments where it's like, no fair, you've been training out there, with the Europeans in the wind. Of course you're going to come here and do your thing. And that's when I kind of started taking it a little more serious and let me see if I can cat up. Let me see if I can, enter a series. But I think, again, racing with Cymet and racing with PJ and really being part of a team as a part of, instead of being solo, just helped me become better at team tactics and kind of
Gotcha.
learn, not so much learn what I was doing, but learn about the different courses, the history, behind it. Some of the true OGs and local legends that are out there that have been doing it forever. Mike Hagney, who, I still race with to this day, but he, just won state championship in our age group, and, I was honored to be able to roll with guys like that, or at least have the fitness to, be a part of that and keep up with them. So,
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just heard about Kendall Bay, and I met him. I got his number and everything, and I was on a ride on a Sunday with Plaza group ride, and some guy jumped on the ride and he was talking to somebody, and I came back and I checked my Strava, and I'm like, wait a minute, I wrote Kendall Bay, and there's a picture of me posted in his page. I'm like, how could I not know it was you? I've been trying to get you to come on the show, but he's gonna come at some time and point. But it was so crazy. But I won't give out his story. But
he's a great guy too.
Yeah. So he'll be here. Yeah. So yeah. So I mean, I didn't even realize that you were racing overseas. You brought a fitness over here, and that's been destroying us. And now it's all coming together. It's all making sense. Where the strength come from and why people say, "Oh my God, this guy is so strong." So when you were racing, what cat were you when you?
Well, I was probably still a 4 at that point. It wasn't. I remember when I came back and then kind of did well at Skyway and started doing the Intelli series, Intelligentsia, when we were doing it then. I actually had a request from Steve, an upgrade so I could race in the 3-4 field. I wanted to be more of a 3 with the rest of the crew. I mean, he was like, no problem. So, but I remained a 3 for 8 years. I just recently got gadded up to 2 after, having a strong season this year. So yeah, it was pretty much just 3 racing, which, in my opinion and most people's opinion is the sweet spot, because you can do 3-4s, you can do 1-2-3s,
Yeah, exactly.
you can do straight 3s. So there's a lot more opportunity to kind of double, triple up if you want to do this.
Yeah, I know many people who are like, yeah, I don't want no points. I don't want to cat up. I want to stay at 3. You're right. It's like the sweet spot. Like, I won't call them, but I know guys who like, I don't want to become more than a 3. Like, that's my sweet spot.
I mean, for me, I always wanted to just be as good as I could be, while I'm doing this. And now I've kind of got that bug where I'm like, let me see how far I can take it before I technically retire and go back to just solely endurance and group rides and that sort of thing. But, the more you do it, the more you keep up with your fitness, fitness to age ratio. It's kind of a boost, not so much an ego boost, but just like a boost in like, I'm 50 years old and I can still hold my own against, kids in their 20s, like that. There's something to that. Like, let me keep it going, until something happens. I've been fortunate enough to avoid, crashes and injury, and I've had, a couple of injuries that I may have considered a setback at one point, but I pushed through them, and, here we are.
Wow. Yeah. So when you're biking, or even now, do you do like in a special training, or you just go with the flow?
My thing, I switched it up dramatically this year, as a result, I'm having a really good year this year. It was just to, not go so hard on every ride. Like, my old way was I was a masher. I had an insane FTP, but, I had nothing for the sprint. I had nothing at the end of the race. I was just to take it back and say, okay, what's everybody else from pros to, just the hearsay, and that zone 2 stuff is real deal, trying to get 70% of my rides to be more zone 2, more longer, it doesn't have to be, a hammerfest every time. And then at the same time, going from 5-6 hours a week to 10+ hours a week, so in doing kind of both the zone 2 with the longer week duration. Like you're saying, we can do our own schedules now. That's really beneficial as well. When I'm on somebody else's clock, I don't have the time to train like that, but when I'm kind of calling the shots and doing my own thing, then you can really focus on the way you want to do it. Realistically, I started using ChatGPT and AI to kind of coach.
The first person that I've said that, do you know Monty Cuero from Evolution? Manny, I do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He's the one who mentioned to me that they use ChatGPT. I'm like, I don't know you could use a ChatGPT for the training plan.
The thing is kind of crazy. It kind of asked me to start referring to it as coach, because I was using it so much. So I'm like, hey, coach, give me the stats of every 50-year-old and, everyone my age and what they're doing, and, nutrition, and, really how I should be breaking it down to the tune where it's now writing some of my training programs and just building them right in the Zwift. And I'm like, oh, let me check it out. I can modify it a little bit.
So that's why sometimes when I see on Zwift, sometimes I see a racing. Sometimes I'm like, why is he on this group? This is too slow for him.
Yeah.
But no.
Well, and then I kind of got away from that too. I think Zwift it's kind of a double-edged sword. It's great in the sense that you can train. It's bad in the sense that you can really get hooked on racing and then go back into overdoing it too much, I was racing 4 or 5 times a week, when it was the wrong time to do it, which I think contributed to, some injury, a bit of, too much, to now just solely using it for zone 2 and for sweet spot training. And I moved away from racing. I mean, it bumped me up to that A+ class or whatever. And, great. Thanks for the kudos, the accolades. But, I want to move away from just the Hammerfest to something that's structured, not being interrupted, not having cars or stop lights, and being able to just say, hey, I want to do 3 hours zone 2 uninterrupted, and you can get it done easily and then jump in the shower and not have to. And the good thing for me with Zwift, I can jump on Zwift and spend 3-4 hours or so. My wife could never say I left the house because I'm here. Or if you do need to pause, you pause it and you go do what you got to do, and then you get back on and you keep going. So, just to use those tools a bit more effectively and more realistically than, pretending that I'm, this young boy racer that, is going to recover the next day. At the beginning of the season, when I first started incorporating such long, my longest rides on Swift were maybe 40 minutes to then doing a 3-hour session. I needed a day to kind of, maybe there's a no zone ride. I'm just going to take a day off, to now where I can, recover a bit more effectively, but then to have the metrics, and that's the other component of it, is to look at all this data that you're getting and saying, am I really improving? Is my heart rate getting lower? Am I getting faster? Is my FTP going up? What's the next step? And then you go back to ChatGPT and throw all that data in, and it says, well, maybe you should do this. Or, now it's saying, you can continue to do 3-hour rides, or you can do 2-hour rides and up the, the intensity, and you'll get, a little bit more out of it. So,
So do you do any strength training, yoga?
I do upper body stuff, just to keep shoulders and, upper body. And, I don't want to look like a cyclist, even though I'm a cyclist, right? But, I've heard this from others that, I had a crash here or two, and I was always kind of a more muscly upper body guy. And I think that averted me breaking a collarbone or, having a significant injury, because I could take the impact, and get back into it. So, but mainly I do that just because, I want to stay upper body healthy and not just have like strong legs and, good VO2, and to balance it out a little bit. So nothing major. Maybe, I do lat work. I do, 3, no more than 4 times a week, usually 3. So,
I think I need to start doing some of that stuff. And I mean, I need to tap in this ChatGPT stuff, because as I'm aging, just like you too, I'm not as old, but as you, a few years I'm going to do. I'm mid 40s, so still learning, and I've only been biking for 5 years now.
Yeah.
So I have so much to learn. And talk about not killing yourself. Like, typically I don't ride on Mondays, is my day off.
Okay. Yeah.
Because weekend is like typically anywhere from 120 to 180 miles on the weekend.
Yeah.
So that's my weekend. So Monday's like, I'm not doing anything, because I did a crazy ride on Saturday. It was a pretty hard ride.
Yeah.
So I can still kind of feel a little beat up right now. So
that's what I'm saying. Like, I rarely do. I think I've done 2 centuries this year, and they were on Zwift, so it's kind of like they weren't real ones. But
I'm pretty sure I've done maybe, at least for the year on Zwift alone, I've done maybe at least 8 centuries already.
And I feel like you need the mental fortitude to be able to sit there and just do and crank it out like that. I feel like it'd probably be more enjoyable to do outside, but my thing is mainly I love doing the crit races, the short stuff. So, I never have to keep the whole endurance long thing. But, going back, it's lifelong learning, man, where there's never I've mastered this. It's you're aging, things change, life changes. So you're always kind of adapting and evolving in your training plan. To make it work for you.
100%. And I'm again, I think maybe I was doing like volume. Now I'm switching to like more structure volume. Because I guess it's mentioned before, you have these young kids I'm biking against, like, Chris Lamb and Steven. And I'm like, these kids are like, I don't want to get dropped. That's my biggest fear in life. I fear to either get dropped on a bike ride or if I get fat. That's my
But even like Chris, like a lot of those guys, they're talented, man. It's like, it took me 8 years to go from Cat 3 to 2, where, Chris is already a 2 or a 1 now.
Yeah.
And that's within like 2 seasons.
And Simone is pro.
Right.
Elizabeth is pro.
Right, exactly. But I think, there's more accessibility. The community has really kind of grown. And, the generation has kind of shifted, and the mentality, the older guys, from what I could see, at least the ones that I knew of, they were more competitive and had a chip on the shoulder. It's a lot more open, more embracing, like everybody coming into the sport. You even see it in pro cycling now. These guys are all, rivals, but they're not like the rivals like Lance were and all that, where they genuinely had bad words for each other. These guys are high-fiving and like having a good time.
I mean, you saw today. I mean, stage 10 today when Pogacar and Vingegaard
I haven't seen it today. But No, you're not spoiling anything for me. Don't worry about it.
But anyway, when they finished, they literally held hands and went across.
Yeah.
Finished
and like, I'm all into that. That's how I feel like me and PJ are. It's like, we're here like racing this series, trying to do well and be the best at it, right? But at the end of the day, we're still best friends, so.
And again, we do this for mental health, strength, just to push yourself. We do make a living from this.
Right.
So that's why I take it serious. Listen, I don't want to get dropped, but at the same time, I'm always ready to help people out. If people fall back, I can fall back, whatever, And as I said, I'm not going to race ever. You'll never probably see me in a crit race unless something drastically happen. But as of now, I will not do a crit race. Yeah. I'll go to Wednesday night ride and a little faster. I'll do my thing and help the group. But getting a race is just,
don't get me wrong. I guess somebody that does a bonehead move on the Wednesday night ride, I'm going to bark at them, let them know. But at the end of it, I'm going to say, hey, this is cool. That wasn't so cool. Like we're still having beers in the 7-Eleven lot together. It's not like, oh, that guy's a jerk. I don't even want to roll with him again. Right. And that's where I think it's different. It's like, what wheels that you should pick. And you encourage the other ones that are doing a little sketchy to just, better themselves. So that's the beautiful thing about Chicago. And you talk about how we're becoming more open. And again, it's becoming so amazing in Chicago. I can't believe like all the different groups that are here and just how welcoming they are. Yeah. And again, as I always say, if you want to get the rides in Chicago, know it's in Chicago. ChicagoGroupRides.com. You see all the rides. They're all there. Pick your flavor, your type, whether you want to go to all beer drinking group or all yoga biking group, you can find it, guys. Yeah. ChicagoGroupRides.com. It's all there. And that's what makes Chicago so beautiful. So how many bikes do you have? I've only got 2. Yeah. I don't have enough room to have more bikes. So yeah.
How do you do that?
I mean, I got the race bike that I just, because again, I love the technology, right? So, I got my baby that's got all the bells and whistles. And then I got the bike that I will sweat all over and beat up that's sitting on the trainer, at home. One's a gravel bike on the trainer. I can use it as a B bike or it's a cross bike, so I can go do cross if I ever chose to do that. But yeah,
I'm surprised. I'm certainly surprised.
I've always made the joke you can't ride them all at the same time. So
right, but we need many bikes.
I mean, at times I've had many wheel sets. So I've got one that's good for flat or a climbing wheel,
bike,
or something like that. There was a time, I don't know if you ever saw that crazy fat bike I built up. I had a S-Works a Fat Boy that I built up with Envies and Axis. It was wild. But I'm in the city. When was I ever going to use it? I take it to Palos 2 times. It felt like it was just a waste of money, kind of sitting around not being used the way it was supposed to be. And I don't know. I like everything clean. I hate cleaning dirt off. That's why I don't race cross. It was like, oh, you'd be great at cross. I'm like, but you get dirty and stuff. And I just, I like to keep it clean. So,
I like to keep it clean like church clothes.
Right.
So
And now that I've transitioned from the all black get up to, trying to go into the more all white get up now.
Yeah, I noticed. I'm like, oh, look at him looking so clean in his kit. Look at that. That's awesome.
Yeah, some of my friends down where I'm at, they're like, get out of your pantyhose, as they call it, right? I'm like, yeah, underoos or whatever it is. So,
that's too funny.
Yeah, I'm breaking the old school rules on that one.
Hey, if it works for you and you're not showing too much, it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some pictures where maybe I'm sharing too much, but hey, I've never been shy.
Ladies love cool Sabin West.
Hey.
So what size tire are on your bike now?
These days, Envy makes the sweet spot for me, which is their 29 millimeter. It's effectively a 30 mil. I'm running tubeless. I'm lighter in weight, so I can run them at a lower PSI.
What PSI are you running?
A 60 actually. So yeah. So
Wow.
I weigh about 170 right now. So, but it just rails the corners, man. You know, like when you got them at that PSI, the grip, and just you can really, you know.
Because I just have the biggest fear because every time I get up and I try to sprint, it's like when I put the part in, it's like my weight squishes the tire, and I feel like my rim gonna touch the ground. It's like give way. So
it depends. I mean, the rim width is a factor as well. Those MVs are wide, man. You know, I run the 6.7s, which are something 28 millimeters wide. So, you know, when you've got the right size tire to, you know, and we use the tire calculators on Silka or MV or, you know, whoever's got their whole, you know, pressure monitoring and all that. It works out, you know. I got to check them. If they get too low, you'll feel it, you know. If they're too much air in there, it's just a harsh ride again. It feels like you're running 19s at 110.
And you say you're running tubeless, so that makes a big difference. I'm still running tubes, so maybe that's
well, that definitely makes
I do
sense.
like 80, 85.
Okay, and with tubes that makes sense. That you could do that. Maybe let a little bit out and see, you know. But ultimately, it depends on what you weigh with your gear, you know, included. But yeah, I found that the whole going wider and just performs better overall. You know, let's face it, Chicago roads aren't glass smooth. And if you have that deflection, you can kind of get from point A to B faster because you're able to roll over more effectively as opposed to slamming at high PSI into every crack and gap and, you know, it's
a funny how the sport has come from because when you were like really thinking like 19 was the best or 23 because it's thinner, but now as the science shows and they start doing all these nerdy calculations, contact ratio and all this pressure and everything is like, bigger is probably better.
I mean, there's guys out there doing 32s and stuff now as well. And I'm like, you know, for me, I think it'd be a little too wide. Like we're getting, you know, because with that comes weight, you know, more material. But like I said, I'm really enjoying the MV tires. They make a tire called now the Race Day, which is the same version as their regular SES tire.
So you're not running GP 5000?
No.
Blasphemy. That's blasphemy.
I mean, there's a Rolling Resistance, the website that does all the tire reviews on Rolling Resistance, and they said that the MV tire is like in the similar class of the GP, which was like their sweetheart tire forever. The other tire here that's doing really well is the Pirelli tire.
Yes, I see like people are using those a lot now, the Pirellis.
So, you know, and me being a kind of a tech nerd, I pretty much, you know, I go with what I love. I've got MV wheels, so why wouldn't I do the MV tire? And then there's no finger pointing. You know, something goes wrong. It's not, this company you got to hit up, or they are saying, you know,
you can't. Wheels. The rule is that you can't wear Adidas pants with some Nike shoes.
Absolutely, you can't
do that.
It's against the rules.
It's against the rules.
Yeah. So,
wow, that's pretty, you know, interesting. I'm gonna look up the Pirellis. It's the Envies.
Yep.
Because again, I showed you, I'm trying to build a new bike, and it's all a lot of people don't know. By the time this video comes out, I think the bike would be better and everything. People see it, but I'm trying to go for stiffness.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the main point because I feel like these bikes are fantastic, but I feel like I just don't have that stiff forward feeling in the bike. It's just too much flex. I think it's just too much flex.
It depends on the brand. I mean, there's some companies and there's a lot to it. You know, with a composite bike, you can build flex where it needs to be built. You can build the rigidity laterally where it needs to be built. But then, you know, in moving into say something like an aluminum bike, you'll want to consider your wheel and tire combo. Absolutely. Because that's really going to dictate, you know, the ride quality.
Yeah. Like this bike, love it to death. Stiff, perfect and everything. Yeah. Can't clear more than 25.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well,
so I'm
rim.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a space down here, so I'm like, even 25 is actually leaving some marks. So I'm like, all right, I think I need to get rid of this.
Well, then you know you get a rock that flies up in there and it ruins the whole show. So.
Exactly. So see, again, I'm learning the little things about these little hoops and loops. So one of your, I think I want to really learn something about you. So do you have like a most memorable biking experience? Like, do you have that one race ride that was just like, whew?
Honestly, the one of my most fond memories was when I lived in Amsterdam, and I would do there's a route that's called Around the Hope that is about 40 miles, and then I do a ride down to Utrecht and come back up. But it's so windy there that I got a tailwind once that had to have been 20 miles an hour, and I remember going so fast on the bike and thinking, I'm having the most fun I've ever had going this fast on a bike because everything was just right in place. Fitness was there. Conditions were great. Nobody's around. Another nice thing about Holland is that it's dedicated bike paths to the end of the world, you know, and it's like you can do everything by a dedicated bike path. And I was like, there's, nature's here. I got canals. I got all kinds of little lakes, and it's just uninterrupted. I was just flying, and I had never gone. I think that's the fastest I've ever gone on a bike. And that, again, I'm a road guy that appreciates the speed. It's probably my most memorable solo, sort of experience. But racing with Simon and doing that series for the first time and having PJ bring me in and having a really good team. And we were racing for our teammate at the time, Mark Nowak, who is a really close friend of mine as well. He won the series with ease. We had just everybody really just came together and worked well together. And I would always joke with him, even to this day, I'm unattached now. I'm not with the team. But I always said, it's really hard to create that sweetheart team, that you don't get that year in, year out, where everybody kind of had their roles and all the plans came together. And we were just sitting there winning every preem and,
Wow.
and getting it done. And with me moving around so much too, that's where it's hard to find that, again. So, I ride solo and continue to ride as fast as I can and enjoy that. But it'd be nice to, try to find a team down where I'm at now. And,
There are a bunch of teams around?
There's a lot of teams. Thing is, at the Masters level, maybe not so many. I raced with Mac for a season, but it seemed like the team was kind of taking different directions, and a lot of their Masters guys are more in the 60 plus field. So, I was like, well, not quite there yet. Maybe I'll, turn it around at that.
Couple years, 10 years.
10 more years. Yeah. If I'm still doing it by then. But there's a lot of strong guys down there. And a lot of really friendly, I guess when you're riding well and you're riding in their group rides and you're kind of meeting people, there's just more open opportunity to maybe jump in. So
maybe also a Carbon Lord group down there.
I tried that for a little bit, but it was more retail driven than anything else. We would have like Lords group rides.
Lords,
it was always like the Lords were meeting up, and we're going to do, But at that point, we were doing the lakefront, and we were going to maybe Highland Park, doing that sort of thing. As far as me putting together something, I don't know. There's not a big interest at this point for that. But I do like the people that I roll with. So, we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. So any big plans for this year? I know you mentioned you had the one race coming up.
Got the one race coming up. We finish out that Illinois Cup series, and then the Gateway Cup in St. Louis is a 4-day series that goes through Labor Day weekend, Memorial Day. I always get Labor Day, Memorial mixed up. No, it's Labor Day. But they do, it's through September 1st is the last day. So it's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday series. I've always enjoyed it. I was dating a woman down that way initially, which is what brought me to that area. And I would always make time to kind of go and do that series. But again, with, fitness kind of coming together and everything, I'm hoping, a top 10 result in that would be an honor, just to roll with the hitters that are there. There's a lot of really talented people that have been racing for far longer than I have that are going to be in that series. And it's just a good time. It's the same type of vibe that Intelli, or I should say Grit, brings. And it goes through the different neighborhoods of St. Louis. So
I wish you're going to be here for Grit though, because it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
I go watch the Lake Forest, the Northbrook, and the Fulton. Fulton.
Okay, gotcha.
Because those are closer. They can bike to them. The other ones are Lombard.
Yeah, they're a little bit further away.
They're during the daytime.
No, I usually, typically I would go and at least do Glen Ellen. Lake Ellen is like my favorite course that they have. But and then end up at at Fulton. I'm usually hang out and watch at that point.
Yeah, I'm actually volunteering with Triple X.
Are you? Okay, cool.
Because I'm officially a member of Triple X. I pay my dues. That's one of the teams I'm on.
No, I all those guys are great. And those are the guys that they end up rolling on Wednesdays. The Wednesday, them and CCC. But with my son being here for the summer, and we're going to head down to my mother's in North Carolina. She's got a place down there. But I'll be training and riding down there. My mother rides as well. And
I wish my mom might ride.
My mom's 72 and puts in probably about 4,000 plus miles a year.
That's pretty solid.
At a pretty solid speed. She's got a boyfriend that also rides, and I've taken him up here on the North Shore rides. But she's got, I have 2 bikes. She has, I think she's up to like maybe 6 bikes now. So, but she has the room for them. But she's very much into gravel. They just did the Katy Trail, which leads from Kansas City to St. Louis. They'd made it I think they did 4 days worth of it. And then at the end of the last day, they showed up to the shop that I hang out with and did the group ride with them.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
So everybody's like, "Hey, your mom's like, I see where you get it from." I'm like, "Well, I got her into cycling, doing the AIDS rides with me back in the days, and she got the bug, and loves the technology.
It's a good bug to have."
Yeah, and she's got S Works and the Langma, and I can't even name the bike she has. I built her up a bike with Envy's just the same, but she uses the stuff. It's not. I joke and say, your mom's knitting sweaters and mine's out doing a century, and she's loving it. So
I think Ruth came on the show and she had some shirt that said something about, some grandma knit, but I'm cool, so I ride. She had something that's pretty cool to see that. Yeah.
Well, in a sense, because we get the ride together, and she's no slouch. We're still averaging 15, 16,
That's solid.
And so I'll be up there. My son, I got a bike, a flat bar road bike that's set up for him in an extra small size because he wants to kind of dabble into the road bike side of things. And
but you never know, man. They start them early, and you can just be
well. With the scene being as strong as it is in Holland, where he is, I'm like, maybe you want to race,
You're gonna try it. You never know.
You come and you can come do grit with me.
Hey, they have to start from somewhere.
Exactly,
so nothing wrong with that. So you go back all the way to back in the touring days of doing all those bike rides, right? In Chicago.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you like a big hitter in that one, with all the bad boys?
No, I really didn't know anybody then. I kind of just kept to myself. I met people, but with those type of rides, drawing people from all over the place, it was like summer camp. You meet all, your friends, and then, your pen pals until next year when you get to do the ride again. But what I really got out of that was, the fitness doesn't leave as long as you stick with it. Most of the guys started doing those rides when I was 25, and there was guys in their 40s, 50s at the time. They're still out there at 80.
Look at Ed Reed. You probably know Ed Reed from Simon.
Yep.
Look at Pony Shop days and still around.
Yeah.
You got Lou and all those guys. It's like, man, Lou is the hitter, man.
And they keep it going, and I'm just like, I kind of want to be like that. I don't want to, my father passed away young. He was only 56. He was fit. He used to play tennis and play ball, and he kind of let it go and let his fitness go and let his health go, and I'm like, if he would have kept with it, he would have still been around a bit longer. Me in my 50s with a 10-year-old, I got to stick around a bit longer. So I was like, let me look to these guys, or let me look to my mom. There's something to that. So
yes, it's a good to have influence around to keep you and your P's and Q's, because it's the same thing for me too. Like, when I see my kids, I'm like, man, at 44, I want to be able, my youngest is 6. And I'm like, I want to be riding with you when you're like 15 at least. And my older boy, if he becomes a rider, he's a natural sprinter.
Okay.
Not just natural. My 16-year-old, he can be pretty good, but he put the work in, he just talks too much. And he's the best at everything. Yeah. And the cool thing is that we have the same name, so he can literally ride everything I ride.
That's nice.
And he's actually taller than me already.
Oh, really? Wow.
I'm 16, so.
His mom's 5'10", so I'm 6'2", so he's going to be up there too.
Yeah. Just let him she's like, what happened here? So that's
another reason to keep my stable small. So you can't take my bike. It's the only one I got.
But that's why I have many bikes. And also one of the reasons why I have many bikes is because, I have a bunch of friends from Miami.
Okay.
And if they ever come to visit, or the same night they come to visit, I have a bike they can ride. We can all hang out and you have to worry about the bikes. It's just take your biking stuff and your shoes and whatever, and you want to take your shoes, fine, but come and I'll prepare everything.
You got enough to help them out.
Exactly. So that's why I have all these little projects around, and I'm still waiting to find that sweet spot bike though. I'm still experimenting, but yeah, we got some good stuff here. So been riding for all this time, and you mentioned a few things, but like in summer, like what's your biggest motivation, or what keeps you like on the bike? Like, what is it?
Really just, improving, I'd say when it's going well, no sense in quitting now. And when you see, your numbers and everything kind of building, that's definitely the motivation for me, is to say, I'm glad I didn't quit, and to, again, be like those older gents that, are still doing it. Because I think, it truly is it's lifelong learning. It's a lifelong process. If you're going to be a lifetime athlete, for me, there's no better sport, and I was never really a team sports person, as much as team dynamic in cycling is key. I have older brothers. One was the football captain and one was the basketball star, 6'7".
So you have siblings? How many siblings?
I do. I've got two half brothers. We all have different moms. So, Papa was a Rolling Stone, but we're all 5 years apart and I'm the youngest. So it was, 50, 55, 60. But we all went to Lincoln Park High School. And every time one would graduate, another would start the following year. And they were really excited to get me there.
Here come the West boys.
Right, here come all the coaches are like, what sport do you play? And I'm like, I'm a skateboarder that is actually an art major. And they're like, but my thing was with team sports, I'm tall, sure, but I was never really good at them, and I didn't want to be the person that like missed the game, like the game shot, like, I'm like, now the team hates me, right? It's my fault that like we blew it. At least on the bike, if I blow it, it's on my own accord. It's like, I'll get them next year, and I take that with me to even racing, my earlier races in the season where, I placed fourth. I'm like, hey, darn, I'll get them next time. But whose fault is it? It's my fault. I didn't make the break.
Well, if you miss a 3-pointer or the game, it's not your fault. They're removed.
Yeah. But again, I know, everybody's like, dude, you suck at team sports now. I don't want to be that guy. So
I hear you.
Yeah. And I came from skateboarding background, which is another individualized sport.
So what got you get into skateboarding? Like, what was that?
That was when I was about 10 years old. There was a little girl on the block that had just a regular Sims, skateboard, with like roller skate wheels on it. And I had so much fun. I would always take it from her, and she'd always go yell at her mom and be like, Sam, take my skateboard. Yeah. And then my dad finally got tired of hearing the neighbors complain. So he just got me my own board.
I think it's because you liked her. You liked that girl. That's why.
But, I pretty much got that. And then some of my lifelong friends, we were all just very much into skating. There were no skate parks back then. There was no outlet for that. So we built our own ramps and we built our own half pipes to the tune where we were then building vert half pipes in the backyard. Wow. And having the city combining saying it exceeds code structure and you got to shorten it. And, everybody's getting really good at it. But again, that's kind of what transitioned into the bikes and, being able to do that. But at the end of the day, it was a sport where you could progress, you could learn a trick, you could teach a friend, and everybody helped each other along to be really good. I think if I was in the wrong generation there, if we were just maybe, 5-10 years later, there would have been sponsorships, there would have been opportunity, because we were all doing it. It got me into doing snowboarding. Again, pretty much it was like, okay, we'll do this. We didn't have the outlet for it, but now we're older and we can travel, or there's places that you can go do that locally, up in Wisconsin and stuff. Mm-hmm. It was just a lot of fun. At the end of the day, it was like that day me going real fast on the bike. It was just like, all right, I'm good at this. It's fun. I like doing spin tricks in the air. I like doing ollying down a flight of stairs. And everybody kind of just hung out. So had that same vibe as 7-Eleven after the WNR.
That's the best, one of the best things in Chicago. Right. There's WNR, 7-Eleven. So that's the name of it. Because that's just you don't even have to go to the right. Just show up at 7-Eleven and everybody's hung out. Because again, that's why I went there first. And I was bringing rum, and Patrick was when I was like, hey, Omar, you come to 7-Eleven and you're not riding, you're just coming up with rum, and people are like, who's this guy? Whatever. And then my first WNR ride, first one I ever went to, I went through up the sprints. I'll never forget it. Nice. That was just like, and then my
if you let him win the sprints, he'll bring the rum.
Yeah, right. And then lad, yeah, he lives right here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the Jewish guy, right? He lives right here. Not lad, the mechanic.
Oh,
there's a Jewish lad. He rides with with Bruckner and Yossi and all those guys.
I don't know.
He lives right here on Coilen, 2 minutes walk.
Nice.
And then he saw me. He's like, "Oh, you're fast." Everything. He's like, "I'm okay." It's hilarious, but hard to miss. He rides a orange, I think S-Works. Hard to miss.
Okay.
If he's here tomorrow, I'll show you. And you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I've seen him," because they've been riding with this little bit off for a long, long time.
Well, what's funny about that WNR, we used to do it at a Turns shop.
Right. So that's what I was asking about the touring.
Right. So then
the route
around the pandemic time, they didn't want to take on the responsibility of group rides during the pandemic. They were being socially responsible, which is fair. And that's when pretty much me, Freddie, Nick Ramirez, Russ, were all like, well, let's just move it over here. And then it just happened that we were starting to leave at the same time Triple X was. So then it became, well, let's all meet here, and, and kind of built it from there. And it really, even now the shop never really took it back to Meet at Turn, which, I'm sorry for, but.
Well, they have a week there, right?
They do their Tuesday thing now. I'm good friends with Renee Rooster.
Renee's my boy, man. I like Renee.
Yeah.
He says he's the best mechanic in Chicago, and I think
he is currently. Yeah, he is one of the best. But I think with him doing the shop thing, he wasn't able to make all the Wednesdays. Or sometimes he'd jump in late and stuff. But it was him and Thomas. Super fast guy, and just
Is it Thomas from 606?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
he's coming on next, actually.
Oh, is he? Yeah, phenomenal athlete. It was pretty much, those are the guys that I rolled with. And, back then when it was Turin's ride, Renee would give me a lecture, don't blow up the ride. This is think of it more of like it's a team time trial, not a race, where we, once we took it to where we're at, we kind of changed the rules because it was, our ride at that point, right?
Yeah,
and then the sprint points came, and and then we got Dean who tracks all the sprints.
Yeah,
I always love it.
If he can make the Dean's list for one time for the year, you have done your deed.
So and those are the guys that I still to this day keep. We all follow each other on Strava, but he's the guy that I'm like, all right, who won the sprint? Who's doing this? Who's still doing their thing? Or I had a guy come up from St. Louis, and he did the Lighthouse ride, and he crushed it. They're like, who's this guy? Well, Dean's on there. He's got all the names, and who's doing what. He's definitely my go-to in terms of like.
Yeah, and there's also the 545 now. That's a race.
Oh, really? Okay,
there's a 530 and a 545, and the 545 they do the old touring route.
Okay.
But now when they go to the rollers, they go to the fort and they come back.
Nice.
So like Chris Lamb and like Chase and some of the six like Steven, they do the 545 group, and that's literally a race.
I missed that KOM on the Fort Sheridan. I mean, it was about, it was 21 seconds, but still, I would have pushed it a little harder.
If you know,
if I know, I don't KOM hunt like that. Well, not unless I'm trying to piss somebody off. It's a joke. I'm like, let me just go. I'll just go drive to the start and do that real quick and just mess with them.
Come drama.
Yeah. That's what we need. It's the drama, right? Come drama.
There was some come drama here recently between Evo and somebody. If he told you about it.
Oh, really?
Or the person was taking every single one of his targeting.
And I know he's out there too. He's putting in the miles.
Yeah, but now he's running a bike shop now, so his miles is not as crazy. But he's doing fantastic with his bike shop. Like he's in Dragon Spine. That's my boy. He's still doing his thing over there.
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I just was over there. I bought some lube, some fancy Absolute black lube. So I want to give it a go. I figure any advantage, right?
Do you wax your chain or do you?
No, I mean I haven't. If I had a chain that didn't require having to replace the pins and that kind of stuff, I'd probably give it a go. But no, I've just been trying Silka and all the drip-on ones to see what works best. Plus, I'm one of those guys that cleans the chain after every ride. Every ride, clean it, ceramic coat, re-wax it, redo the PSI on the tires. I got the time, why not? So
I like it. Maintenance. When you finish your bike ride, you clean your bike up and keep it in good shape.
I mean, I've had bikes I've owned for 5 years and they look like they just came off the showroom, which makes them resale value.
Well, you have the experience, so you know what it takes to take care of stuff.
So,
and you ride a Canyon
Aero Road right now. Yeah. Not the fancy CFR one, just the stock one. But, I buy them and I strip them down and then I put my own stuff. So it's full day race with envies. So
12 speed, running a 12 speed?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. My first, I was running 11 speed forever on all the old stuff, only because it was compatible with the trainer bike, right? So if something went south, they could pull the parts off.
All my bikes are still 10 speed.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, if it works, it works. But when you get it dialed in and you get on this modern stuff, it's so smooth and so quiet,
I'm still running, I have no Di2 anything. I'm running 10 speed. I got all rim brakes. I got one bike. I'm still...
Well, there's something in the box, right? So.
Yeah, something in the box. It's coming. There's something in the box. Yeah, man. I'm so happy that you're able to sit down and chat. I learned so much about you.
Right on, man.
Lincoln Park, you're a Chicago boy. I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
If I saw you, think maybe you're someone from Europe or something. You have a different featured Native American background or something.
I'm Black, Greek, and Italian, man. Yeah, my
You're
pops looks
Black-
like Smokey Robinson. So
No
and my
way.
mom's Greek and Italian. Yeah.
You're Jamaican from the waist down.
Yeah. Well, from here to here. Depends on my mood.
That. Oh yeah. I did not know that. Have you been to Jamaica before?
No, I've been to Bahamas. Been to St. Thomas. That's about as far as I've gone over there. But
well, as I tell anybody, if you're gonna go to Jamaica, you go to Portland. Let me know, and I'll take care of you.
Okay.
Like legit.
I will go.
That's my state.
All right.
And there's certain places like in Hope Bay, Port Antonio, Buff Bay, Orange Bay. That's
every time I've been to the Caribbean, I've always had a phenomenal time. And I don't, I'm not the resort type. I want I go to the people side.
No, I'm not. Yeah. That's something you go to Portland because everybody go to Jamaica. Oh, I went to Montego Bay and to Ocho.
Yeah.
I don't go to those places. Yeah. I've never been to. Most people tell me that. I'd say I have known where places are.
Right. No, I want to go where the food is authentic, the people are real.
Where the locals. If you go to Jamaica, I promise you, just let me know.
Okay.
And you'll be taken care of.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we come to know, we learned so much about you. I mean, again, from the old 30 years ago to now, and all the cool things in Holland, Chicago, moving to Missouri. Is it Missouri or Missouri?
I guess for them it's Missouri. I'm still getting used to that one.
I'm learning. Because I'm not from here.
The biggest change has been everybody says her instead of here.
Come over her.
Right.
Oh, that's a Texas thing.
And I find myself saying it sometimes now. I'm like, have I been here too long now? I'm starting to switch it up. But then when I'm there, everybody's like, yeah, you totally have a Chicago accent.
Do they use finna? A finna go? Or fixing to go or finna?
I do finna, so so I think I'm used to that one. But yeah, that was the biggest notice. That her.
Yeah. that I mean, this is what I think make America this a beautiful place. Having all these people from all these different culture coming together just to make this thing a beautiful place. I mean, that's how I feel. Yeah. I mean, I am Black. Well, I'm not Black. I'm Jamaican.
You're Jamaican.
I'm Jamaican by birth, but I've been in this country for more than half my life. So
you still got that great accent.
Because I gotta keep it for the ladies,
I'm into it.
That's why I got my wife. I was like, "Hey, baby, what's poppin'?" She's like, "That's it. 11 years later and 3 kids.
Yeah,
just like that.
I'm just curious to see what my kid's accent's going to be like because a Bulgarian mom going to school and speaking Dutch at a Dutch speaking school, and then he pretty much when he speaks he sounds like me, but. Like I said, I got a dad that looks like Smokey Robinson, and my kid's got blonde hair and blue eyes, right? So,
wow.
Genetics, man.
That's the beautiful thing about biology and everything, and life and culture. So, one more thing. So you're watching Tour de France now, right? So who are you rooting for in Tour de France?
I mean, I'm a pokey guy. They've kind of painted him into this, not the bad guy, but it's like the guy to beat, right? But I was a fan even before all that was going on, and when Vinigo wasn't hurt, and I wanted to see him kind of rise up. I'm a big fan of Vanderpool, even though his specialty is in more spring classics type of racing. Right. But also because we ride the same bike, same size, he's the same height as me, like we have the same stats, so I'm like,
man, he destroyed Stage 9, man.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm like, that's more my, I like those two, but, I'm rooting for Wout as well. Van Aert's had a hard time. I like to just see him at least get a stage, and just,
that's right. He's still on the stages yet.
Yeah. To keep his confidence up, so, all the big superstars and stuff. But what's really nice is that there's not just, I come from that time where it was Lance and Ulrich, right? It was like, there was always just this guy and that guy, this guy and that guy. Now we got 5-6 people that.
No, you got many. I mean, if you look at there's 10 states so far, and how many times have jerseys been changed? The yellow jerseys been changed already many times.
And people that I didn't think would even have yellow jerseys on. Right?
Yeah, you haven't watched it today, but it's a different person in the yellow jerseys today.
Well, and then the springers competition, I mean, Jasper,
unfortunately,
unfortunate what happened, but now we've got opportunity for some new stars to shine.
It's like Milan is coming up, and Germain is doing his thing. It's like
exactly, So it's like
there's some American dude that's killing it too, with the mustache. I don't remember his name.
Simmons.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, so he's national American national champion. So.
And I know Hank is going to start an American team now. I think he wants to.
I heard. Yeah. So again, opportunity. I always like to see the young guys shine. I remember when it was like when I first moved back from Holland, Sagan was like the young guy, the new guy. It was like who's he? He's doing like the running man across the, and it was like, but we need that, because everybody was so serious. And so, and it's like, like I said, times are changing and, I'm there for entertainment purposes only, despite what's going on behind closed doors, and who's got most money in UAE's got the big budget and whatever, man.
So did you know that, back in the 90s, I think they tried to bring like a tour of America here? That was actually run and sponsored by Trump.
Really?
Donald Trump.
I mean, but that would be something he would do.
Wasn't
he sponsoring like a beauty pageant?
Yeah.
Right. So he's always anything where he can get.
No, but look. Maybe I saw some fake news on the internet, but I think at one point they tried to replicate Tour de France to call it Tour of America. They still call it Tour de Trump, but I think it would last for a couple of years. And that's a bunch of guys from Europe came over to race and everything too.
Well,
but it never blew up.
Tour of California is gone, right?
Right.
It's like, well, I get it. It kind of like, the timing wasn't there. I think that was going on during the Giro, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't, but it's like, well, why couldn't we just move the dates or move, definitely we could use that. But I think, what we got going on is crit racing, like
the crit and gravel.
Even when I'm in Europe, people are talking about like crit racing, Legion definitely help with that. And, just the exposure there. There's been a couple of, mini series at least on YouTube, about, the crit life. And, I think that's what we do,
Yeah.
So
we don't have the crazy open roads. I mean, well, Chicago got Illinois got some crazy, amazing roads. We get some in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Another race I was talking about that Trump was involved with that came down from, I think it actually part of it goes through New York and they kept it exited down north and stuff. I think they're like 2 or 3 roads. Again, there's good roads, and if the sponsors are here and money to be made, then people can.
And that's the thing. If there's, if the companies can recognize that there's good exposure for them, and there's money to be made, and we can kind of bring up the, the shops can certainly use it, right?
Yeah, you go west, West Illinois. The roads are amazing. Like if they're doing a rough of 10,000 or some rides in Galena, Elizabeth area, you're like,
gorgeous.
Why do we not have like pro races here, like a tour of a serious race
and there's
here?
Serious elevation there too. So it's like,
why not? Anyway, so hopefully we will do something in a couple of years. And again, I know people really want to bring back a lot of this. And I think
by then we'll truly be the OGs. Maybe we're the ones that got to put this together.
And again, I think Triple X is working on something. I think I'm feeling from Triple X and some other people are really talking about really getting stuff up and running again. Yeah. Because you have all these different tours. I mean, there's like Race to Lake, which is going to be on the 17th of August, right around some lake up north. That's a fantastic, like a 80-mile, 90-mile ride. And people just go average like 26, 27 for the entire time. Yeah. It's got a nice little group of guys working together.
It's fun. And when you're together with a big group like that, it's easy. You're like,
you get a pull.
My heart rate's only 100 right now.
Exactly.
28. Yeah. Let's keep it moving. I'll take that 30-second pull.
Hey, of course, and you contribute. And anyway, so I really hope that American cycling can really get back up again, like road racing. I mean, we have crit for sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before, like what like Legion is doing and Blazers and some of the other teams is coming up and just doing. I mean, Russian Bahati.
Yeah.
But I mean, that guy is.
I've raced, well, not with him or against. I don't know. He's such a monster.
You were in the race.
A couple of races with him. The Glencoe Grand Prix, one of the, I think 2 years before they ended that series. I don't know how that one ended too. That was such a fun course. He jumps in. I think we were doing Masters 35, maybe 40 plus at that point. And me and Jose Rodriguez and Hagney and everybody is just, we're just giving it our all, right? And he never came up the front once. He's stuck back there with Sharon Smith, and they're just doing their thing, right? And then last lap, last turn, Bahati's off. Bam, wins the race, pulls out a check at the podium from his foundation. Oh, if I won, I'd do this donation. I'm like, you raced with a check in your pocket because you knew you were going to win. I'm like, well, that's some talent right there. He's still killing it. He's out there,
still doing his thing.
Yep.
Riding his giant bike and killing it.
Yep.
We have a story with that guy. So 3 years ago, I was going up to Northbrook race to watch the crit, and I saw this I'm black, so I saw a black guy. I'm
Right.
like, hey, where are you? Well, he said, my name is Rashan. I'm like, where are you going? He said, I'm going up to Norbrook. I said, I'm going up there too. Let's ride together. We rode the entire time, chatting, cracking jokes with each other, all different things. I had no idea where it was. I went down to off that is it Volsers, whatever that road is across Waukegan. And when he went down, it was just a bunch of some African American cyclists there. All of them were like, oh my God. And they were talking to him like, who is this guy?
Wait, who am I rolling with? Right?
And then I asked some friends, like, dude, that's Rashan. And I looked him up. I'm like, oh my God, this is the guy that I just rode up with. And again, because I'm new to racing, I'm new to biking, so I have no idea who these people are. But that's a funny story that we were. Man, he's such a chill guy. I was like, hey, is that your house? Somebody was like, he's like, I wish. And we were just chatting, and it was just so funny. So yeah, people do some amazing things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So as we come to a closing, anything you want to leave us with, that what inspires you, or just tell people to just keep on doing what you're doing?
Like I said, just, continue to embrace each other, as athletes. There's enough room for everybody to get involved in this. Take it for what it is, give back what you want to it. But, keep it positive, I just, there's been enough negativity in the history of sport, and I just think that, cycling right now is at a good point and a point right now where it can grow and continue to be better than it is.
He said it, I didn't.
Hey.
Okay, true OG guys. We spoke to Sabin West, learned about him right here, Chicago grown, fully grown, everything. It's all about him. And again, it's a pleasure to actually sit with you and talk to you and learn more about you, because again, these things I didn't know, but now it all come together, now it all makes sense. And you're somebody that not only myself, but many people in Chicago look up to you. I'm telling you, I've spoken to many people.
Yeah.
And I'm one of them, that we have a lot of respect for you, for what you've done for Chicago, what you're still doing. And you understand, like, or young bloods like myself, where you're ahead of like, when I get to your age, I want to be like you. I mean, that's like legit. That's like coming from a good place. So guys, we have Sabin, even though you don't live in Chicago anymore, in the area, he left, but he's still very close. How close are you from the Illinois border, from where you live?
I mean, I'm right over the river. I mean, I could bike over to the Illinois side in like 10 minutes. So
exactly. True story. When you left, and I saw you were in some place called Highland. And I'm like, why is it? I'm like, he didn't. I'm like, I thought he left, but it's Highland Park.
No, it's Highland. And that's where the relationship I was in initially pulled me down there. And when that ended, I wanted to. You can't take the city boy out of the city. I had to move away from the small town and get back to city riding. And honestly, I'm glad I did. I've met a lot of phenomenal athletes down there, and really it's expanded my knowledge of the scene and just of the sport. So yeah, I come back when I can to visit. It's always going to be a Wednesday night ride when I do. So
awesome.
I'll see y'all this Wednesday.
Yeah, guys, we had the carbon lord in the house. Can't be that, guys. He's in the network. He keeps us, grounded, and we love you. We have people in the network, guys. Thank you guys for watching, supporting, guys. And as we come to a close, and I will say again that keep the